Is the Ben Shai, Shalom. The pasuk in Sefer Dvarim says, "Remember Hashem your God, ki hu hanoten lecha koach lasot chayim," because it is He who gives you strength to achieve. So people are not warned to remember unless they might forget. That's why the Torah is giving us a reminder not to forget that Hashem is the one who ultimately gives us strength to achieve anything. Right? So therefore, with our parnasah, sometimes we could think that there's a way the markets go. There's a law of nature when it comes to livelihood. That certain cleverness, a certain talent, a certain strength automatically acquires and brings certain success. Therefore, we have to come. The Torah tells us you have to remember everything is divine providence. You have to remember everything is Siyata D'Shmaya, Hashgacha Pratit. Right? For example, somebody who has Seyag Gomel. Right? There's 4 cases of Seyag Gomel. The guy was in the desert, the guy was in the sea, the guy was in jail, the guy was sick in bed. All these situations, you would think that what? Oh, so I found a boat that was passing by, I got a ride with them. Oh, the doctor came and healed me. It makes sense. It's all according to nature. No. So you have to say Gomel to remind yourself, I have to give thanks to Hashem. It's all from Hashem. So even when you take the medicine, even when a prisoner uses his influences from his friends to get out of jail and get a pardon, even when a guy goes to the desert with a large caravan and big guards and smart people who know how to go around, still, all these situations, a person has to remind himself, I only was successful because the Kadosh Baruch Hu allowed me to. So then the Ben Ish Hai says that we know that after Cain killed Hevel, Hashem gave him an opportunity to do teshuvah. He said, you just have to believe in Hashgacha Pratit, the divine providence, and then you would have done teshuvah and it would have saved you. So Hashem asked him, where is your brother? Where is Havel, your brother? If Cain said, Hashem, you know where he is, so then he would have showed he believed that Hashem Hashgacha Pratit, the divine providence. But what did he say instead? He said, am I my brother's keeper? I don't know. So therefore, he made that mistake of not showing he believed in Hashgacha Pratit. Then many years later, Chizkiyahu Melech, he wanted to do tikkun for Cain's sin. So that's when the representatives of the Babylonian king came to visit him. Hashem had sent a Yeshaya, a prophet, to ask Chizkiyahu, what did these men say, and why did they come to you? So Chizkiyahu, he should have said, what do you mean? You're God's prophet. You know exactly what they said. But instead, he answered, they came from Bavel, of a very distant land. So since he did not do tikkun for Cain's sin of believing Hashgacha Pratit, so then what happened? So he was also blamed. And the sin was finally only rectified when? In the exile of Bavel, where Hashem asked Yechezkel, son of man, will these bones live? And he said, Hashem, God, you know. So a lot of times, a person has to know that there's a test that comes to you. Will you admit that it's from Hashem, or do you believe in your talent? Do you believe in your intellect? Or do you believe that your koach, your strength, lasot hayel, is only from Hashem? The pasuk says by the one who in Sefer Vayikra, about the one who has sarat, he has pes. He who is to be cleansed shall wash his clothes and shave off all his hair. So one of the tikkunim is that he has to shave off all his hair. Why does he have to shave off all his hair? Says the Ben Ish Hai, the Yerushalmi says a story about how there was a poor Kohen, and he wanted to leave the land of Israel, thinking that he'll find parnasah better somewhere else. So nothing to leave with his wife. He had no money for her. He said, listen, I'm a Kohen. What brings me some parnasah is this, that I check people's sarat. I'll come and teach you the laws of sarat, and you'll at least make parnasah with this while I'm gone. So he started teaching her, and he said, today's lesson is like this. Every single hair on the head has its own source of nourishment. So therefore, the sarat depends if there's hair in the sarat, there's no hair in the sarat. She said, one second, stop. You just told me that every hair has its own follicle, has its own nourishment. And now you're telling me you're leaving to go find parnasah somewhere else? Listen to what you just said. Hashem has a source for each person, just like each hair on the head. So what are you doing leaving? Stay here. And God who will give you over there, He will give you over here. So he got a big musaf from his wife and he listened to her. So the lesson is that it's a good source of chizuk for us, but at the same time, it's a rebuke. It's a rebuke for a lot of times we hold ourselves back from doing mitzvot because we think we don't have enough parnasah. Oh, who am I to give? Oh, maybe. Some people even, they calculate, says the Ben Ish Chai, they calculate why we can't have more children. Because, we don't have enough for the expensive parnasah. He says, this is foolishness. The one who gave you children can also give you food. Right? So therefore, a person has to know Hashem takes care of every single hair, no matter how miniature it is. Ben Azai says, right, in Sechet Yuma, he says that if Hashem doesn't allow it, a person cannot even touch a hair on his friend's head. Interesting how it says a hair, right? It says the Ben Ish Chai, even hairs on the head, which are very close together, they do not touch from one another what's meant for each person. So too, your neighbor, so too your business partner, so too your competition. Even though you're all next to each other, like hairs on the head, they all going to take from their pipe and shamayim, their source. They're not going to take one from the other. So why did it say in the Gemara, it says as the Ben Ish Chai, why did it say in the Gemara, a person will not touch? It should have said, a person will not take. So he gives a mashal. He says there was a place that all the wealthy people used to like to go to, vacation. Why? Because the air was fresh and it was cool, and they used to go and put their tents over there. It was a nice place. But they didn't know that for many years there was jewels dug, hidden under the ground over there where they used to go and hang out. So for years they used to hit the peg of the tent and pitch it into the ground, and they didn't know under the ground was the jewels. So there was a certain guy named Baruch. He came and he put his tent over there, and when he was pitching the tent, he hit something. He hit something in the ground. He said, "What is this?" He dug a little bit and he found some jewels. So it says, what does it mean? It means that even if they're going to be right next to the parnasah that's meant for you, Hashem's not going to even let them touch it. They're not even going to know it's there. If it's meant for you, it's meant for you. They're not even going to smell it. They're not going to even touch it. So therefore, a person has to know and believe Hashem has everything set aside for every person. All the matter is we have to believe it. So the Pesukim says in Tehillim, in chapter 17, the doings of man are by the words of your lips. All of man's doings is in the physical world. But at the end of the day, that's only the physical world. We have to realize that the Hashem in the spiritual worlds decides if it comes down or not. So therefore, there's nothing to gain by cheating or by overworking where you deny the service of Hashem. Any money that's decreed for you is all by the words of Hashem's lips. Whatever Hashem decides, that's what you're going to get. The question is, are you going to get it in a permitted way, or are you going to get it in a forbidden way? Are you going to get a mitzvah on the way, or are you going to get Averah on the way? Then he says that there's a story, a very interesting story he brings showing Hashgacha Pratit. Is many generations ago, there was in Jerusalem a carpenter. His name was Avraham. So he worked very hard, honestly, and he acquired a lot of wealth. And he used to give help to the poor, and he fed the hungry. One day, Avraham locked up his house and took his family on a trip. So what happened? While he was gone on vacation, a thief broke into his house. And he went and he found the hidden place where he keeps all his money. So he took the money from Avraham, stole the money, and he started walking in the dark towards the village outside of Jerusalem. He wanted to hide this money for a different day. So what happened? He got very sick all of a sudden, and he couldn't hold it anymore. He couldn't do it anymore. So what did he do? The next morning, a young villager named Ephraim found this guy dead. Found the Ganav. The guy of Ganav died on the way, with the treasure on his pockets. So he went to Ephraim. He found a met mitzvah. So he buried him, and he kept the treasure for himself. And that night, this Ephraim, he had a dream where he was commanded to give back this money to the rightful owner. So he says, "Wow, I understand that this is belonging to somebody, but I didn't steal it. Somebody else stole it, so I don't have to return it." That's what he thought to himself. So what did he do? He hid the bag of money inside a hollow tree. He put the side in the hollow tree. Some time passed, and Ephraim's father died, and he left the house to his son. During the Shiva, the village was hit with a big storm, and the flooded everywhere. The floods were so strong, it was like rapids in the street. It was flying. The water was flying. And what happened? This hollow tree couldn't survive the pressure. The hollow tree uprooted. It got uprooted and it flew away with the water. So then this log ended up in somewhere, and one passerby found this log, and he brought this log to the carpenter, Abraham. And he said, here, I want to sell you this log. How much are you going to pay me for it? He says, no problem. So he goes and he pays him for the log. He opens the log, and what does he see? He sees the bag of money. And the story's not over. So Ephraim, he saw that his inheritance got ruined, and he remembers, I think it's because of the dream. I think this dream is... so he kept looking for a carpenter. He kept looking for a carpenter, and he says to hire him, and he finally found Abraham, and Abraham hired Ephraim. One day they're eating together. Abraham told Ephraim, I want to tell you a crazy story. I lost a bag of money. Some thief stole it from me. One day I get a piece of log. I cut the log in half, and I see my money's inside over there. Ephraim hears the story, and he says, what? Really? I'm the one who put the money. I found the dead guy. I buried him. I put the bag of money in the trunk. That's unbelievable. You have half the story. I have the other half. And they were shocked that together they were able to get back the money. So he said to Abraham, he said, listen, I want to give you some of the money. You help me get it back. He says, no, I'm not going to take any penny from you. I already suffered enough from touching your money. So he said to him, no, but I want to. Now I want to give it to you. Before I didn't know you had it. Now I want to give it to you. Time passed, and Abraham decided to celebrate his wedding of his son. So then there was no work for 1 week. Ephraim went to go visit his family, and Abraham told his wife to bake a loaf of challah. Make a loaf of challah, put some money in the middle. They gave him as a gift the challah, and then he went home, he opened it, and the same thing happened to him. He opened the challah, and he found money inside. And he accepted it as from Hashem. That way he was able to give him the money. So you see how whatever is meant for you, no matter if somebody steals it, Hashem is going to bring it back to you. Why? Because it's not for anybody to take. It is what it is. It's like a magnet. It's going to find its owner no matter what. So you should be zochet to remember when we go to work, whatever is meant for you is meant for you.